did it. I hit record. So once upon a time, I started making YouTube videos. Maybe like, I guess it's like 11 years ago now. I was in my mid-20s, and I started doing it because it was a newfound kind of like, I guess, hobby of mine. And I just wanted like a creative outlet. I moved to Pennsylvania. I still live in Pennsylvania. I don't know. I started this and it turned into something, is what I want to say. It became an actual makeup business. So I usually don't like doing these intros, but we're quarantined. We've been quarantined for quite a while. I would say almost 2 months now. So I haven't been working. I haven't left my house. And I don't know. I keep battling with the idea of just sitting down and making a video, and then I sit down and make a video and I'm kind of just checking out. And I'm like just kind of jumping off the cliff here. So I want to do my makeup. I want to like connect back with kind of where I began 11 years ago with this whole thing. And I want to do this only for the reason that I started doing it back in the day, which is just to play with my makeup and just have fun. I just want to reconnect. I just want to get back to the basics. I don't have my eyebrows microbladed. I don't have filler on my lips. I don't have all the fancy bells and whistles that a lot of these like top watched influencers have. But what I do have is makeup. A lot of it that's not getting used right now because of quarantine, and because I have a business that's sitting stagnant because I put makeup on people, and I can't do that right now. I also bartend. Can't do that right now. So what better way to use my time than to kind of get back to basics and, I don't know, film myself putting makeup on for you. What else to... So yeah, this is very awkward and uncomfortable. I feel very like outside of my element. Hoping that I can get used to this once again, like I did 11 years ago, when eventually just sitting down and talking to a camera was very normal. It never went anywhere. My videos I look back on, and I look at them with a fondness for how enthusiastic I was, and how like what my level of makeup skill was at that point. And definitely not like the world's best makeup artist, but I love it. And I think that that's like the important thing, is that I'm sitting here and sharing what I love, regardless of if anybody wants to watch it or not. It's an outlet for me, and I miss that outlet. So I'm gonna stop rambling without doing anything, just sitting here. I did just put on some BKR Paris Water Bomb. I got this in a makeup subscription box, and I really like it. I always start with some sort of treatment on my lips because my lips are very dry, and I don't drink nearly as much water as I should during the day, which I'm trying to work on. So I have clean skin. I do not have anything on it. I haven't self-tanned in a little over a week, so I am pretty pale. I'm just going to go ahead and spritz this Farsali Rose Gold Skin Mist, just to kind of get the ball rolling. And I really like this. I'm almost out of it, as you can see. It feels really good and refreshing. Kind of like revitalizes my skin. I just got this in a BoxyCharm. I really like the original formula of this. This is the Benefit Porefessional Hydrating Primer. I usually keep the original one in my kit for weddings because I really do like it. I haven't tried this formula yet. I'm eager to see how this works for me. I I usually only do that much with this primer. I usually start by kind of applying it where my skin, my pores are most prevalent, and then I use whatever's left to distribute to the rest of my face. Sometimes I even use, oh, this is cooling. A little bit there. I do have texture on my skin. I always have. It's just been something I've gotten used to throughout the years. I mean, as an adult now, I am 36. I will be 37 this summer. And I have actively been using Retin A in my skincare. This feels really good. I really like this. I've been actively using Retin A in my skincare routine now for quite some time, just to kind of like help gracefully slow down aging. I do have a lot of hyperpigmentation in my skin. A lot of it is related to when I had my children. I had hormonal hyperpigmentation, so when I do use a foundation, my primary concern is evening out my skin tone because of that. You can see I have like some darkness going on here, which I think everybody has. I have some minor wrinkling going on in my outer corner of my eyes, but I think my like primary concern for my skin at this point is just discoloration and dark spots. I have this. Now this is super, super bougie foundation that in any regular circumstance I probably wouldn't spend the amount of money that this is worth. But this was a gift. A very extravagant gift, and it's just sitting in my drawer, and I'm not doing my makeup for any reason right now, other than just for entertainment at this point. So it's a real shame to let this baby just sit in my drawer, because God knows when we're going to go back to normal life. So I'm going to use it. I'm not using this to brag or boast or seem like above my league, if you will. I mean, are there even like leagues? I don't know. I'm just using this for the simple fact of the matter that I'm not using it, and I really want to use it. Soft Ivory. It comes in the form where you kind of like scoop it out on this little like spatula. That's the foundation portion of it. And then you have a concealer on the top. I like the concealer. I don't love the concealer. I think that the hype of this foundation lies in the fact that they use like this magical skin caviar. This is a Swiss product. So I think that this is like really nice skincare packaged in the form of makeup. And that's where I think it gets its really high price tag. I know they sell it in Neiman Marcus. I'm not sure where else they sell it. Probably wherever like high-end luxury makeup products are sold. So I'm going to use it because it's sitting here. It's not going to do me any good to just stare at it. So if it does have some magical skin like miracle product in it, I probably will benefit from using it rather than just letting it sit. And I do really like it. I'm kind of upset that I like it so much because I'm obviously not going to repurchase it unless I like win the lottery. And it's silly to spend this much money on foundation when there are so many other good affordable options out there, but we all spend our money in ways that we want to. I'm definitely not going to shame anybody for spending this much money on a foundation, especially because, I mean, there are things that I probably spend my money on that people probably think I'm crazy for. So if this is what you want to do, go for it. I mean, I can justify for the fact that if I was going to spend money on this foundation, it would be because of the pretty awesome qualities it has for your skin. I think it like more so focuses on like firming and elasticity, and like I know it has like a very powerful compound of antioxidants in here. So I don't know. I like it. I'm using the LC cosmetic sponge, by the way. I have a new one sitting here waiting. This is the LC velvet sponge. So I'm just using this one still until I have to switch it out. But this is hands down my favorite makeup sponge. I think it's like $18. I usually pick them up whenever there's a sale, or whenever like there's usually like when there's like a Memorial Day sale or Labor Day sale or whatever. I usually pick up like one or two for backups because I like to switch those out frequently because of the fact that they harbor bacteria. So, but this is hands down my favorite one. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to color correct under my eyes, and this is one of the products that I really like. This is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. This is a very emollient, like gummy texture, so a little goes a long way, but I really like the, almost like the radiant finish that you get from using this. I think that does a really good job of reflecting all the light off of your darkness. I do have, you can see some like a little bit of baggage going on there, which is I think pretty normal. I just kind of like tap that in and let that like work with my skin and work with the temperature of my skin and sink in a little bit, and then I usually switch to cream contour. This is the Temp 2 Shimmer Bronzer. And I like this for the fact that it kind of like gives a really nice like glow, like glowy finish to the skin. You always want to shake it up. But since it is an airbrush formula, it's definitely a lot more thin, so it lays really nice on the skin. And you don't need to use an airbrush compressor for airbrush makeup. You can manually apply it. I'm using just this brush from, I got this in a Look Fantastic advent calendar. So this is, I think, one of their branded brushes. It's like a densely packed foundation brush, but I think any foundation brush would work, to be honest. So I just kind of work that into the brush, and then I just kind of like use that to tap into the areas of my face where I want to look like naturally glowy and, not glowy, I guess like bronzy or healthy. I'm not really going for like a bronzed look since I am fairly pale at the moment. I don't want to make myself look unnatural. I want to just kind of like give myself like a more healthy, like radiant, realistic glow. So I'm just tapping that into the places on my face where I would have a little bit of a sun glow if I were sitting out in the sun. So it's not necessarily like a contour. I guess in theory it is contouring my face, simply for the reason that I am placing a darker shade of anything in places where I want to like sink the features back. And it's airbrush makeup, so it's water resistant. I am going to amplify it up a little bit and set it down a little bit with a powder, but you really don't need to, because by nature airbrush makeup is sweat-proof, water-resistant, all of that good stuff, which is why a lot of brides lean towards airbrush makeup to begin with. My favorite concealer of the moment is still the Flower Beauty. This is the Light Illusion Full Coverage Concealer. I have this in Fair, and And this is a fantastic choice for a drugstore priced concealer. It has a little bit of a peach undertone, so it further color corrects your darkness. But I think it just, like, for me and my skin type, it just really lays down nicely. It doesn't pick up too much of like the bumpy under eye texture. I have that. So I do like to also kind of like just lighten up some of the areas that I want to look a little more like highlighted. And since it is a light illusion formula, it definitely has some like dewy glowiness. So for my under eyes, I really love this Bye Bye Pores Translucent Setting Powder by IT Cosmetics. It just kind of gives like this really nice like airbrush. It just kind of gives like this really nice airbrushed finish to the skin. It's a very, very finely milled powder. So you have to be like really careful with it, because if you breathe it in, ugh, it's gross. So I just like to work that into the brush and then kind of like swirl it in the lid, and then just like press that under my eyes where I applied my concealer. This is, I find, like the most natural way for me to set my concealer for just like everyday like purposes, and it definitely works in keeping everything in place. Like I mentioned before, I work in a restaurant. Obviously not in the current state, but I pretty much don't have time or just don't like need to bother with any sort of touch-ups. And I'm using this e.l.f. small tapered brush. It's one of my favorite setting brushes and has been for a very long time. So I'm basically just setting the spots that I find get oily, where the oil would start breaking down any product, if it was going to start so kind of like seeping through. I'm not setting my eyelids because I am going to use an eye base. And then I'm going to just go back through with this Bye Bye Pores bronzer, also by IT Cosmetics. This is in the shade Beach. I also really like the texture of this brush. Is by IT. I'm just like all IT Cosmetics right now. This is the Angled Cheek brush. This came in a brush set from IT Cosmetics. So I'm just going to tap that over where I put that Temp 2 bronzer to kind of like, I guess, just amp up the color a little bit and set it in just a touch. Like I said before, it is generally like a waterproof, sweat-proof formula since it is airbrush makeup, but I do have foundation under it, so this just ensures that it's not going to slide anywhere. It just takes it up a notch, which I like. I enjoy that. Okay, so for blush, I also got this in a BoxyCharm and I haven't used it yet. Quarantine. This is the Becca Luminous blush in the shade Camellia. This is generally the shade of blush that I go for, so I was really happy with the shade that I got sent. I love a good pink blush with like a gold reflex to it. I just think it has such a pretty quality. It adds like such a pretty quality to the skin and just makes your skin look so healthy and so like radiant and alive. And this is a brush by Farrah. It's the 50F brush. I love this brush. I love how big and fluffy it is, but how like flared out it is too. I use this, usually I interchange it for blush and bronzer. Going to use it, whoa, that's pigmented. Whoa, was not expecting that. But blush is the first product that will wear down and like fade on you, so it's not something that I generally panic about if I do get a little heavy-handed with it at first. So that is super pretty. I really like that one. For eyeshadow, I haven't used this either. This is Pacifica Wild Hemp eyeshadow. This I got in an Ipsy. Oh, it's like reflecting like that. It's a really pretty palette. It has like some terracotta, coppery, bronzy shades. Before I put that on, however, this is the eye base that I love and I have multiple backups of. This is so inexpensive. It is the Essence I Love Color Intensifying Eyeshadow Base. It's a very like thin formula, so you don't need like a ton of it. I generally just put it on and tap it out with my finger just to like even it out, and I find that this really helps intensify your eyeshadow and make it last. But it's such a nice thin formula that it doesn't add like a layer of texture to your face. What the eyeshadow palette doesn't have is, I don't really care to use this like darker shade as like my first transition color, so I always keep MAC Wedge on hand. I have several of these. I really like this as a initial transition color. I'm just using a BH Cosmetics brush. So I'm just going to grab that really fast just to like start mapping out sort of like a crease. I like this because it's cool toned, so it does a nice job at carving out a crease and grounding any warm tones that you add on top of it. I have, I guess, like kind of hooded eyes. This eye I have like this, it's like sinking with age, so the eye always just looks crappier than this eye over here, but I don't know what to do about it, and it's the process of life, so I just have to roll with it. So I just like to kind of like tilt my head back and establish where I want my crease to be. So I'm just going to take my time and just continue to build that up to be where I want it. So I'm going to grab a different brush. This is a Luxie tapered blending brush. It's a little bit smaller than the last brush that I used, and I'm going to start with this matte, kind of like terracotta shade. I'm just going to pick that up. I don't know how this palette works because I haven't used it yet, so we'll see. Ooh, that's a really pretty color. Let me zoom you guys in just a touch. You can really see what I'm doing. That's a really pretty color. It's almost like coming off as like a brick red on the skin. That's pretty. So because I have smaller eyes, I am focusing the color more so right here rather than on the actual lid itself. If I wanted to make my eyes look longer, I would flick the eyeshadow in that direction. But for today, I'm just kind of like going for that like wide awake, like just like, I don't know. I guess like my goal with eyeshadow for my personal self is just to just make them look bigger because they are small. I'm going back in with that cream color. I'm just going to use that to soften the edges of this, just make it look a little bit more diffused. It's really pretty. So I'm going to use this darker glitter that's in the palette. I'm just going to use that on my fingers and just see how that looks on the lid. Ooh, that's really pretty. It almost has like a bluish reflect in it, giving that like wet look to the skin, which I think is really pretty. So take this center one here. Just gonna kind of like tap that into the inner corner. These are really nice. I don't think that this is an expensive brand. So that is a really pretty inner corner highlight color. I like that a lot. This smaller brush in that deeper matte shade again, I'm just going to work that along my lower lash line and just kind of like smoke that out. 9 times out of 10, I do apply a color to the lower lash line. I feel like it helps just like emphasize my eyes a lot more and just makes them just look bigger, and I don't know, I just like the way it looks. So just like enhance my lash line a little bit without doing the harshness of liner, because I kind of want to keep this like soft. I'm going to take this Lorac Pro Color in Espresso. It's like a nice rich chocolatey brown, and I'm taking this BH Cosmetics like tiny angled liner brush, and I'm just going to work that along the lash line and just smoke that out a little bit, just to give a little bit more drama, but a soft drama, if you will. And I'm going to do a very easy wing. Very subtle. Smoke that wing up a little bit. See, these look like details that are just so like small and minor, but I feel like for me personally, I feel like they just make the difference. I really like how the eyes came out. It's very, I don't know, it's like soft glam. It's not like, definitely a step above like an everyday look, but by no means it's like full glam. But I like it a lot. So for brows, I've really been enjoying this NYX Professional Brow Pencil. It's very dead on for the Anastasia, to be honest. Just a fraction of the price. I use the shade Ash Brown. I always start by brushing up whatever brow hairs there are, just so I can get a really good idea of what I want my shape to be. And then I just start filling in where it's kind of like bare. And then to just set that all in place, I'm using this brow gel by Billion Dollar Brows. And this is just to kind of like keep them standing up a little bit, because I like that like bushier brow look. I'm going to keep it pretty natural on my lashes. I'm not going to do anything other than mascara. I always start with a primer. The Voluminous Primer is hands down my favorite eyeshadow primer. And the fact that it's from the drugstore makes it even better. So I like to just coat my lashes with that. And I find that that makes a huge difference in really like making my lashes look super full and super long. I just kind of like randomly grabbed a mascara. I'm using the Grande mascara. And this is the one with like the lash growth serum inside of it. So it helps infuse your lashes with some goodness on top of just being a mascara. And I like this one. It's not my like holy grail mascara, but I definitely like it. So, right, I'm going to give my face a quick spritz with a setting spray just to lock all of that in, to just also make all those powders kind of like melt into the skin. I like the Photo Focus setting spray by Wet n Wild. It's an easy, inexpensive setting spray that always just does the job for me. So, and before that completely dries down, I'm just going to throw on a highlight. Here is the Natasha Denona Glow, and this is in the All Over Glow shade. And I have a Moda Studio brush, and I'm just going to kind of like hit just the top of the cheekbones there. I'm not going for a tremendous highlight, and this is a very like natural highlight that's not too crazy, just like a subtle healthy glow. I like to do a little bit on the nose. I always like to do like a touch right underneath the brow there and just over the brow. And on my lip. It's just a nice natural. I'm going to give my face another quick spritz just to melt that in. For my lips, I'm going to use this Becca Ultimate Lip Definer in Weekend. I love the kind of liners that crank up that you don't have to sharpen. And this is a really nice pencil. It's a very nice creamy formula. And I do overline my lips just a little bit. More so on the top than on the bottom, just to kind of like match the fullness of my lips, because I feel like they're a little bit more full in the bottom. I like to blend it in a little bit and just blur that line. And then for my lip color, I'm using this little mini by Marc Jacobs, and this is in the shade Slow Burn. I don't know. It's weird seeing makeup on my face after not really doing it in weeks, but this is it. This is the finished look. So, I don't know. We'll see if this hits my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and I possibly will be bringing you more. We'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Bye.